important Embiid is to the Sixers. Philly went 31-8 with Embiid this season and just 16-27 when he was not on the court. The team averages almost 12 fewer points per game without him. SA, this is serious for you. This is serious because it's not just head, it's heart. A lot of years go into this. Russ, who's a big sports fan here for the Knicks as well, is filming this right now as I ask you this question. I just want you to know behind the scenes, he's standing there awkwardly filming me on his phone. Stephen A., should the Knicks be worried about the Sixers in the first round?
No. I mean, we fine. We fine. Ain't nothing to be worried about. Like I told you before the game. First of all, before the game last night, I said to you, it really, really don't matter. I guess if I got to pick one, I'll pick Miami, but it really don't matter. We wanted both of them personally. Let me get that out the way first. Secondly, this is the biggest reason in all seriousness, Eminem and Legs, why I'm not concerned. Embiid ain't healthy. Embiid ain't healthy, all right? I told y'all that coming to the game. Now I want to hear about last night. Nicholas Batum got Jordan turning over in this palatial mansion because this dude decided to show up and have a pulse, a season high from threes. 6 damn three-pointers. I couldn't believe it. I said, you got to be kidding me. Nicholas Batum, of all people, this brother go out there and he hit some threes. So that was an aberration. Obviously being down 51-39 at the half, Embiid clearly looking hobbled, far from himself, okay? The Philadelphia 76ers were a bit rattled. They were getting booed in Philadelphia. 12 first-half turnovers, leading to 17 first-half points for the Miami Heat. Then they amped up the pressure, but they were significantly helped along by the fact that Jimmy Butler was hobbled, okay? Because if Jimmy Butler hadn't hurt his knee, all right, and he could do something in the second half, I still believe Miami would be playing the New York Knicks. But that's neither here nor there. In all seriousness, Philadelphia is a damn good team. Nick Nurse is a hell of a coach. He really, really is, okay? And they amped up the defensive pressure, rattled Miami a little bit. Miami was struggling to score, as they are apt to do, and we get all of that. But the other side to all of this is that, again, you've got guys like Maxey who can ball, and he's a star. He deserves max dollars. I'm rooting for him. But you look at the Philadelphia 76ers against the New York Knicks, and you imagine that pressure being amped up. You imagine it intensifying. You imagine those Villanova brothers and Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo. Hartenstein has been playing well. Hart's been playing well. The defensive pressure is going to be amped up, and the only person that's going to be able to have an answer for the pressure that the New York Knicks are going to bring is Embiid, who once again is hobbled, okay? So, I mean, it's damn near tantamount to Tiger Woods walking the course for 4 days.
Okay. That was a nice little rant. Now let's bring let's get back to reality. Now, okay. I understand what Stephen A. is saying, and since he took that angle, I'm going to come in extra hard at the opposite angle. But I think the reality is that there's truth in the middle. Okay, Embiid is definitely not 100%. No question about that. Yet him hobbled, he's still the best player on the court and the most dominant and the most impactful. I mean, you can tell that his knee is still not great, not 100%, and more his cardiovascular system. But what Stephen A. doesn't understand is that recovery, recuperating what your existing level of conditioning is significantly easier to regain than to get it for the first time in the first place. So what I mean by that is this last game for the Sixers, for Joel Embiid, was exhausting. And it will probably be his least conditioned. Every game that he plays, every time he pushes it harder and harder and harder, it gets easier and easier and easier, okay? Think of it like this. Let's say you can bench press 100 pounds, right? Let's make it even simpler. Let's just say you can do 20 push-ups, okay? You can get down, you can do 20 push-ups. And when you do 20 push-ups, when you get to that 20th push-up, you are gassed. You are so hard, you could barely get up. You go, and you just get it, okay? Now, the next day you go do push-ups after a few days rest, hitting 20, especially if you're eating right and you're a healthy person, getting 20 will be a lot easier, significantly easier than it was a few days ago. In fact, you should be able to now do 22 push-ups, 23, maybe only 21. It depends, but it shouldn't be as brutal to get back to that 20th. Now, this is especially true if you could originally do 50 push-ups, you got injured, so now you couldn't really go work on your push-ups, and you had to be lay in bed and get surgery and do all that, and so now you're slowly recovering. To get back up to 50, it happens so much faster. The jumps in strength and endurance and way that you make is so much quicker than if you were never able to do the 50 push-ups, and now you just have this goal of like, I'm going to do 50 push-ups one day. That progression could take years technically. But in order to recover back what you already once had, it does not take years. You've already achieved it. This is where the word muscle memory gets kind of used sometimes, and muscle confusion, which is often used completely wrong. But in this instant, it is real. It's because your muscles and your strength, it's already written into your cells, into the muscle fibers in a weird kind of way. We won't get too nitty gritty into it, but it's things called like satellite cells. It's all based on science and things that we see time and time again, especially with people who are competitive weightlifters, bodybuilders, strongmen, bodybuilders, all that type of stuff. And so we see this in sports. It's why anyone who's ever been injured, you recover your muscle. If you ever were in a cast or a brace, you see your muscle atrophies. It gets real small. And it recovers very quickly, like just by walking, just by moving it again. It regains that way faster than if you were born that little skinny like that, and then you had to slowly get it bigger working out. So the real point that I want to drive home is that this, in theory, should be Joel Embiid's worst moment of him being cardiovascular, from an endurance perspective and strength perspective. This should be his weakest. That he should only be getting stronger every single game he plays. And I had the same knee surgery as him multiple times, 3 times. And so my doctor used to put it this way. He used to say, if you could walk, 2 miles, after your surgery, if you could walk 2 miles, if that's within your abilities, your knee's going to be fine. You're not going to have any soreness or swelling or anything like that. But if you now walk 2.25 miles, once you exceed what your capacity is, you're going to get swelling and you're going to get soreness. That doesn't mean that you're hurting it, but it's just the process of recovering, of healing. And so now, you walk 2.25 miles, and now I get all the soreness and, and I got the swelling, and I'm like, oh my God, that next day, and this happened to me. And I was in brutal pain. I was like, oh my God, this is awful. Will I ever recover? And then a few days later, you feel fine. And now if I walk that 2.25 miles, I'm totally fine. No pain, no swelling, no nothing. But if I now do 2.5 miles, boom, back to the swelling, back to the pain, back to the soreness, back to all of that. That's the way it works. That's the way it goes. So this is why Joel Embiid is going to get stronger and more conditioned every game he plays. It's actually a good thing that they had the play in, because then now that was like true, intense playoff basketball that he had not experienced in the final few games of the regular season, and now he has that. I'm not telling you that by the time they face the Knicks that, in game 1, Joel Embiid is just going to be 100% ready to go, let's go, unstoppable. But the point is that I believe that even when Joel isn't 100%, he's still the most impactful, most dominant player, just for the sheer fact of his size and strength. I mean, yes, I watched that game start to finish. I see Joel, hunched over, hands on his knees. I get it. And I think, Nick Nurse now knows that too, especially. And the Sixers know this. So now the team knows that they need to step up. They know, okay, Joel is here, but he's not 100% here. And this is the beauty of Nick Nurse. He calls out, Stephen A calls out, for these, career high threes or whatever. But that's what Nick Nurse does. Nick Nurse has a great knack for putting his players in positions to succeed. Not all coaches do that. Coming off of Doc does the opposite. Doc Rivers never put anyone for the Sixers in a position to succeed. Never. Never. And if they did succeed, it was just by their own accord, not because Doc was putting them in positions to succeed. So that is what Nick Nurse does great. He empowers the players and sets them up to succeed. He puts them in a position to succeed. And that is a massive, if not the most important part of coaching, is for the coach to put you in a position to succeed. And that is what Nick Nurse is going to do. I'm not going to say that this is going to be an easy series. I think it would absolutely be a not as close of a series if Joel Embiid was 100% healthy and ready to go. But after watching the game on, against the Heat, I definitely was like, ooh, okay, this is interesting. And I am a Sixers fan, and I'm not going to be a homer and just be like, the Knicks have no chance, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm watching that game, and I'm like, ooh, okay, this is, closer than I would have thought. And Joel's conditioning was weaker than I had initially thought. So I am definitely reassessing my thoughts on that. But for the most part, though, and I am trying to combat any of the natural biasness, the bias, whatever, that I have. But I think I do know what I'm saying in terms of the recoverability and him getting stronger and, increasing his endurance every single game. That's an indisputable fact. That's just basic exercise science, kinesiology. Like, that is just, anyone who's been injured knows exactly what I'm talking about. That is just how it goes. So, as long as the Sixers can step up around Joel and pick up some of the slack, at least for the first couple games, like I said, your Joel is just going to get bigger, stronger every single game that he plays. So I'm just not so sure that it's, for Stephen A to be like nothing to be worried about is absurd. I think this series could go 6. I would be surprised if it's anything less, outside of Joel just not being able to recover as fast as I would have thought or hoped. So it's going to be interesting. But I think we definitely have an exciting series ahead for sure. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Should the Knicks be worried about the 76ers and especially Joel Embiid? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.